I think it's so beautiful that Walter Tevis is having his moment now. I think his work was always appreciated by people at the time who understood what he was doing, but I think as science fiction, I mean, amazingly, he covered so many different genres, but as science fiction has entered into this new moment, the novel is particularly relevant because it was kind of science fiction adjacent, and it was always talking about who we are as a species. And at every generation, you're always asking, what choices did we make to get to the place that we are right now? And he was asking that question then, and we are certainly asking that question now. I'm a little sad that it's as timely as it is, more than a little, but I think it's also why we need the show. I think we all wanted to make a show that was hopeful, and while acknowledging the state of the world right now, also says that human beings are pretty amazing, and that we have a chance, we just have to get our shit together.
I did see the David Bowie film, but it was the 70s. You know so don't ask me anything probing. But no, I did see, and seriously, I admired the film. I was a great Nick Rogue fan and a huge David Bowie fan. And that film was a big film when I was young. It was it hit a very particular spot, and it was very influential.
We've created the show as it's 40 years after David Bowie first landed. The character of Thomas Jerome Newton first landed on Earth, and the situation is far more dire and the reach is far wider. I'm sorry, I'm still stammering this morning. Far wider than just water in Arizona. It's more existential. Go ahead, Alex. I'm having a dead brain.
Well, the movie was pretty existential, you know, from the beginning. But yes, it does pick all that up, and yet, I think what we didn't want to do was just rehash the same plot. So water actually plays a critical component in why he's here, but this is where Naomie's character comes in, because the water isn't just to bring, in the novel and in the film, it was to bring back to his planet. In our story, there's a very specific purpose for the water, which is obviously where Justin Falls comes in.
Well, Justin, when you first meet her in the show, is really, she's kind of abandoned herself, really, and she's in this state of tremendous amounts of guilt and self-recrimination, and she's kind of she's totally given up being a scientist, and she's locked herself in this awful life where she's just in survival mode. And, you know, then Faraday comes along, and initially she doesn't want to get involved with him at all, but he actually reminds her about her true skills and her true abilities, and reignites her passion for living again, you know, because really she's not living at all before she meets him. So he's a real gift for her, as well as her being a tremendous gift for him, because she's his moral compass, she's his entry point to this world, you know. Without Justin, Faraday would be completely and utterly lost.
Well, I've reached an age where if anybody asks me that question, I can answer honestly. In the old days, I could bullshit you, but now I don't have to. So if you ask me how much research I did, the answer is absolutely none whatsoever. But that's because I work, again, happily at a level of writing where all the information I need is in the text. And it's difficult. I mean, you know, there are instinctive things that you feel from reading a text, and you know, things that will inform your performance, which I'm not particularly conscious of. That's not particularly la-di-da or anything. It's simply that, you know, things happen. But I guess, you know, there are parallels. You know, I identify to some degree with Thomas Jerome Newton, but there was no specific research.
And yeah, I don't ever kind of do specific research in the sense that I'm not trying to base my character on any living individual. It was really helpful. We had a scientist, Melanie, who was able to answer all my kind of questions that I had. But then for me, it's really creating a character is using the script as your Bible, finding all the clues about who your character is, And then it's a work of the imagination. You know, I really find that that's my best entry point to the character. If I try and base it on somebody who's living, I kind of am trying to emulate them and going from the outside in, which never works. It always has to be like an emotional journey within me and connecting with the truth of that person. And actually what I do is imagine myself very much in a situation like this. I imagine that I'm being interviewed, and then I answer questions about my character's life. And by speaking, you know, about them, how many brothers and sisters they have, where they grew up, what they love, what they're passionate about, that's how I start connecting with them emotionally and build them from there.
This is amazing. This is the first time we're going to see it actually, sort of on the big screen. So we're overwhelmed, I think, with a lot of gratitude that we were able to get it pulled off. It was we've made it through the pandemic, so we had all those inherent challenges, but so grateful to be able to premiere it here.
And I'm really excited to see it because I haven't seen it yet. So this is the best place to see it for the first time.
If I can just give one little South by shout out, the creative community in Austin is one that I've returned to through the Austin Film Festival and Southwest again and again and again, and that you are at the heart of this, that you are at the heart of Texas. I feel like the creative community in Austin is the beating heart of Texas, and I'm just really glad to be able to contribute in any way, and I'm so glad you guys are here. I am so glad you guys are here.